recorded live.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Community's Roundtable Podcast. This is podcast number 604. My name is Eric Nelson, and with me today, I have my favorite co-host, Cory Romero. Today is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022. Cory Romero, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Eric. Yeah, things are great. Still fighting snow here in Utah, on and off, and waiting for the warm weather. Other than that, things are great.
It is a crazy season this year. We've had warm, and now in California it has gotten cold. I mean, we're talking in the 40s, which I know isn't cold for some of you over in the Midwest, but it has jumped back into cold land. Sometimes the Arctic air just jet stream pulls it all down. So the United States has been pretty chilly across the board, snow all over the place in the U.S. So not surprising that Utah gets it as well. Color of the Bay, the chilly and sunny, so it's a dark green. With a light chop because it's been windy. We had some winds up to like 40 miles an hour. I had to roll in all the umbrellas, and it's a very weird thing because we got the gardens growing, the grapevines are coming in my backyard, but then it gets this cold weather. So there you go. On the show today, we are talking to Lino Telera. He is cloud architect with InfoSec Inc. We're excited to have him here because we're talking about coding with VMware. Lino is a code coach. We'll get into that. But before we get into kind of how he took his journey on coding with VMware, right? Which should be fun to learn about, and then where we're going with coding in general. Before we get to that, let's just talk a little bit about the news and what's going on this week in the social cloud. So first off, McLaren. So we announced today McLaren race team agreement where they are going to be using our multi-cloud solutions for their IT world for McLaren Racing. I think they race like 20-30 races across Europe, and I'm not sure where else. I don't think they come into the US, but I think they are big in Europe. We will publish the number of races that are going on. Are they F1? I believe so. Graham mentions on that. I think they are F1. We have pictures of their race cars out there with VMware logos that are going to be promoted. So they do get around the globe. Excited about this agreement where they're going to use our technology, and then we are sponsoring obviously a race car with our branding on the race car and drivers. I don't think we're the only one on this car. I think it's got Dell on it and some other of our friends as well. But doing kind of that work and just doing a global campaign should be fun, performance oriented. And that's kind of where we're landing. So we announced that this morning. So watch out for that stuff. And if you want to retweet it, that would be good. We're going to be doing social for all the races we're going to be at. So we do have a race schedule. We'll be talking about the races that are going on. So a lot of fun there. And if you're able to get to a race, let me know, because we do have some special packages we can organize for things at the races themselves. So, all right, with that, we announced that. And then, of course, we're getting excited to talk about what we're doing with VMware Explorer. That's, coming up. We are talking about having the VMware Code labs back again. And we're discussing, we've been doing the Raspberry Pi labs with the sensors and coding. And we put Kubernetes on Raspberry Pis. This year, we're thinking about doing something a little bit different. We're thinking about getting Intel NUCs, right, and building out 25, 30 NUCs in place with screens, keyboards, and that. And then you'll get to do Tanzu Community Edition, and then we'll have some labs that you'll set up Tanzu Community Edition, and then we'll build some applications that then can possibly talk to sensors as well, because we know how to do that on x86 machines as well. So it should be fun if you haven't played with Tanzu yet, or if you want to learn about building your community lab or your home lab with a Tanzu Community Edition on it, and then a little bit of fun stuff on top of that. Stay tuned. Excited about that. And if you guys know about Bill Roth has come over to take a position doing developer marketing, not under my team, but in the BU Cloud BU's team. And so we'll have Bill Roth there. Bill Roth did the BMP 280 sensor labs with the original we had a product that did device management. I think we got rid of the product, but Bill Roth, if you had been to the community booth, Bill Roth has always been hanging around doing stuff. So we're excited to have Bill Roth back doing developer marketing as well. So that's what I got. Cory, I know I've been rambling on. What do you got around vExperts?
Yeah, so we got some cool stuff around happening with vExperts around the portal, as well as we've got a session coming up, or a session opportunity for authors of books. So if you're a vExpert and you're an author, watch for your mail later today. I'm going to send out an email. So there's something really cool we're doing at VMware Explore. So you're going to be able to present in front of TAMs and Success 360 companies. I'll get more details of that to come out later today. Also, we've got some really cool stuff happening in the VMware or the vExpert portal. vExpert Pros, you will get an invite for to beta test this and break things as much as you can, and then we will release this to the public in 2 weeks. So we've got the live application is done, Eric. Martin.
Oh no, really?
Yes, it is done. It is so cool. It brings in your last application, and then it asks you to make sure you update it, so you've got some reference. So you can actually go in and update your application year-round. The only time that it is closed is when we're in voting. So on top of that, you can actually also go back and see all of your application history. And if you are denied from the program, you can appeal right from from the portal itself. You can do the appeal. So there's no more emailing. There's no more filling out forms. Everything's done right in the portal. Another really cool thing that we added is we've added Rsvp for events. So we've always struggled a little bit, figuring out how many people are actually going to VMworld in the past, but now we're going to VMware Explore. And so right in the portal, you can say, I'm going to VMware Explore. And if things change, you can cancel that and say, I'm not going. So that way it gives us a good count on how many swag bags to create for VMware Explore, for the vExperts, how to plan for the vExpert Explore, VMware Explore vExpert Party. So a lot of really cool things coming. A couple other things that are coming down the road, which I'll mention later on in another show. So Martin is working away on a bunch of other features for the portal as well.
That's awesome that you guys have live apps now. I mean, to me, it's like a resume builder. You put that stuff in the live app, and you can basically, when you need to go build your resume, you should have something that spits out resume section in it, so that then you can come in and now print my resume, and it just takes your vExpert app and turns it into a really cool resume. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
As well. But I have to smile a little bit because we've been talking about that feature for maybe now 3 years. And that's pretty good that it was done, in 3 years, because we don't have budget. That's just Martin. I think we gave him a bonus this year, kind of gave him a nice happy bonus of, some not under $1,000. I don't want to say the amount, but we did thank him for his work. So I appreciate him doing all that work. And I would say that, we've also always wanted to have a really good personalization component on .com, on vmware.com. And we've been trying to work on that for 10 years. So the fact that you guys got rolling apps going in 3 years is like way better than what we do even on the .com side of the web development side. So congratulations to you guys. So is that live now? Did I hear you say it's live, or it's going?
So it's going to go live in 2 weeks. So next week it'll go out for beta for the vExpert Pros. The week after we'll push it to production. Nice
boy. Big long beta program there. Whew. Yeah, got that. The 7-day beta program. Awesome. Thank you for that update. Appreciate it. And, yep. There we go. So let's get on with Lino. So Lino, welcome to the show. We always start with tell us a little bit about who you are, what's your career arc look like, where do you work, how did you get into the ecosystem, what are you doing today in your job, and give us kind of a sense of, because we are a community podcast, how you got here and who are you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for this opportunity to stay here in this great podcast. I follow this podcast since 2016, more or less. And I'm a cloud architect focused on infrastructure automation. So it's a great mixture of system architect and also coding around automation and all the stuff like that. And I started my career in 2022, more or less. As a computer assembly company, like usual. I'm not graduated as computer science or engineer or etc. But I actually I'm a food technologist, which is completely different study career from the IT. But I had the opportunity to collaborate with some companies during my study path, and then I moved my my education on completely on IT. So I was trying to regraduated, but unfortunately I failed. And then I moved on certifications and stuff like that. And then I think that something goes well, because I'm here to working in a great company, which is InfoCert. We are focusing on certificate. We are a certification authority focused on certification, legal invoices, and so. And then my role is really interesting, because I'm half system architect and half developer, and so I bring the best of the two worlds in a single role, and I'm happy for that. Anyway,
Right. So I have just a couple questions there on that before you go too far. So it is kind of cool that, like most of us, when we end up in IT, we did not go to university to study IT, right? A lot of us never even made it through university. Some of us did, some of us didn't. But you end up in IT because you love that, right? And then we're working in IT. So your story is very typical. If you listen to our podcast, you'll know that 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 or 99 out of 100 of us who were in that space where we wandered into it. For me, I like building PCs, XT, AT, x86s all along the way, and then you get into the operating system and configuration, and you loved hardware and software, doing that kind of role, that work. And so that's you get good news. You can make a living at it, right? And so here we are. How long have you been engaging with VMware technology?
I think that I started trying VMware Workstation in 23, more or less.
2003, yes.
2003. Because it was really great to yes, it's a little bit fun, but I used this product to make some other system inside my PC, make some mess to the other system, and then wipe out, and then starting again. And so it's I use that for lab purpose, obviously. I feel really happy to trying new software, and without compromising the system. So which is my first goal for the using of the virtualization. Then I moved in a developer company. So it was a software developer, became software developers for 5 years, more or less. And then I moved on a telco, and after 2 years I became head of department of cloud providing. So it's really a pretty great career that I built around the IT. So VMware probably was my first technology when I moved in the telco, because we started using Vsphere 4 early. Right. Then we moved on Vsphere 5, and then we introduced vCloud Director, obviously, because a cloud provider without vCloud Director probably cannot go ahead and stay aligned with the market, probably. Anyway, I'm a fan.
Right,
first.
Right. So when you started picking up coding, right? Did you traditionally we start doing automation, scripting, shell scripts, that kind of stuff, and then putting control structure inside of my scripting. That's just what I started. I think out of college, I ended up working for a guy that I wrote like on a whole product management app using shell born or something like that,
Yeah.
where it was just a whole. And so I spent time there. Did you kind of take that route where you were automating, whether you're scripting, then PowerShell, that kind of stuff? And I'm curious how you then ended up, in development, writing code.
Cool.
Real,
Yeah.
Compiled.
I basically I use code, PowerShell, and stuff like that for migration tasks and whatever should be automated. We started using this technology first to moving workload across several cluster, across several vCenter, migrate from storage to another. So working as a cloud provider, probably the movement across storage, computing, and networking is really really intense, because technologies are changes. Some underlying hardware must be revamped with a time frame which is really really strong. And then I think that I found in this automation script a way to avoid any, let me say, monkey work, because moving virtual machines across many cluster resource pool and etc. It's a hard work that you can solving with the use of script. Then the next step was to start moving across the integration between the Vsphere environment, or better, the vCloud Director environment, with the other portal, which provide us simplification for the company to selling virtual machines to the customer. And I think that this integration was the example of the usage of the APIs that vCloud Director is providing. And I'm really happy to know that every Vsphere product and vCloud Director, every VMware product has exposed any APIs and has a better support for the integration, which is basically the key element to stay aligned in the cloud and have a great product and a great environment to provide to our customers. So it's really cool for me.
I definitely seen there was that time where everybody started to automate the delivery of VMs, right?
Yeah.
And that actually started 2007, 2008. People started automating delivery of VMs and figuring out the price and cost model for departments, and then automating that delivery. And that automation of delivery of VMs to inner departments or whatever, right? And in your case, external customers, maybe, that all had to be done in code, right? There's no way. You had to automate it so that your business groups could come to a website, say, I need a provision, a service, and it would automate that. And, we made the claim that you went from days to hours being able to deliver a machine with an IP address on it, right? So I could see where that transition then went from just doing automation to control your infrastructure to using APIs from a web app or others to be able to allow your customers to come in and engage, configure, and then give me a VM button, and away you go. And then code that would then keep track of that and, deliver that service to customers.
Definitely is these are the keys, in my opinion, to make a service that is a better place to place your customer, or simply to use in a enterprise context for example, developer teams who wants to simply consume your internal resources. So I think that there are a lot of
so for people that are still in the space of PowerShell scripting, and they want to start making that transition. I wanted to ask you, like, so what were some of the hardest things or things that you failed at when you were trying to automate, using code, right, using APIs? For instance, failures, debugging. What were some of the things that you ran into that then you had to overcome for somebody that is trying to then make the transition from just writing shell scripts to actually building code that calls APIs?
I had a lot of experience and a lot of failures, of course, during my implementation, because probably the bad things when you start coding is the time. You have to put some code and then think about the main process of it. But during the time, that some piece of this code must be, delivered. It should be delivered as a template, because when you write the code, probably this code can be applied only in one context. And when you're trying to bring this code and then reapply in another context, probably 90% you can fail. You for sure you are failing, because when you start developing, you have to think about that everything is a template, and with the template in mind, you can start writing code that can be reused in every scenario. Probably one of the most failure things and the common mistake when you start reading the code is that. And with the coming of the new technologies like infrastructure as code, which is the last level of the automation, that it's the new trend, obviously. I use I use for declarative scenarios, and so you can drive with the same mistake, probably, because when you because the same mistake, if you try to run across the time to reach your objective without thinking about the place when you put in the code, probably you will run once and never use in other cases. And for sure, this is for me, in my opinion, a kind of waste of time or a failure, because the need to reuse the code is the key. And then the key is to reapply what you have written once in every scenario, and you must think about that before start writing the code. So
that's interesting in that I was talking to Alistair Cook last week and some others around, where are we sharing things, right? Like the shares. VMTN was always a place you would go share things and post things in forums and upload documents. But now everybody's getting their own personal GitHub account, right? And they're actually using GitHub as kind of like, it's kind of like, as much as we need Twitter, right? As an IT professional, you should be on Twitter so you're engaging with people and, getting to know everybody that's in your industry. Now GitHub is this kind of like, if you're writing scripts or you're doing any kind of typing out things that you're going to do repetitive things for solutions, you should probably get a GitHub account, set yourself up, learn that. It's all, point and click. You don't have to use Git commands if you don't want to. You can just use their web interface. And then that becomes kind of like your repository. And then you can invite other community members to come in and see what you're doing. And then if you want, they can actually help you, right? So it is interesting that GitHub is kind of trying to solve that one of those problems.
Sure, and I want to say that it's fun because I answered on my GitHub for a question coming from a guy that wants to test what I've done for our last hackathon, and we put all the code obviously in GitHub, and then he asked us, because we are a team, something, some explanation about some stuff we have produced, and then I feel I'm really happy to answer and know that my code is reused, is used by another guys. So this is the new community, or the community around the code, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, it becomes that. One of the other questions I had around, getting into this, how do you figure out what your job role is? Because like you usually you're usually running VMs, you're an IT administrator, you're setting up VMs, you're using Vsphere, you're using the management interfaces to control things. Then you get into automation, and then like how do you tell your management, no, I'm not a coder, I'm not or I take on some automation, but then now I get more coding. And then do you want to be a developer? Because like, how do you manage that expectation of your management looking at you as a coder versus an IT admin? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, let me say that probably I'm lucky, but because I'm working in a company which really consider this part of the this department, because I work in a department which is called automation, and they believe that the automation is the key from the developers teams that are consuming everything from the on-premises infrastructure to the AWS infrastructure, and obviously the Kubernetes, which is running on-premises in cloud, etc. And they believe that my role is really critical, because we don't wanna give the keys of the infrastructure directly to the developers teams for two reasons. One is for security and compliance, and the second reason is that probably they are not able to start consuming infrastructure, right? Because they are not they are dealing with many portals. They are not feel confident choosing what is better for its software, and so. And with the coming of the cloud native application, we are really beginning a refactoring process, which bring us to from the traditional application to the cloud native application with the usage of microservices and so. But let me say that it's the really difficult part of this show is to close the gap for teams that are not able to deal with this technology, because we don't provide the key to access to the infrastructure, but we give the way to consume that using, for example, the infrastructure as code, such as Terraform, CloudFormation, and so. It depends on the infrastructure they are consuming. And from the other perspective, the teams are simply developers. So sometimes they are changing their mindset, moving on new technologies like the handling of YAML file or ACL language, or the other technologies that are a mixture from for example AWS CDK, which is not it's completely an AWS product that can combine the skill the team skill using Python with the infrastructure delivery. And we are working as the integration layer, and the integration layer is permitted by the use of, obviously, the implementation of the APIs, the usage of the pipelines, and so. And there are I want to say that not all the companies are not ready. Sometimes they don't understand how is critical the role of the automation team. And probably the automation itself, it's something that can live and can move faster than the software development, because they stay aligned with the continuous request from the developers teams. Probably the problem doesn't stay in the top, but sometimes the developers teams say, why are you can't I have, for example, the access to SSH shell or something like that? I want to say that because this is a security reason, I cannot give you that, but you are able to do that written your code, right? And then it's it's really fun and struggling at the same time. Heard this complaint from the developers team, By the way, in this at the same time, we have a infrastructure team that are tired to stay bounded with to establish boundaries with the developers teams, and probably this situation is something that is still happening in some companies that are implementing, for example, the procedure like the ITIL or something that it's really not agile, and probably is still bounded by procedure approval, and so.
Right.
And the infrastructure team is completely burned by the continuous requests coming from the developers teams. So the solution is one, obviously, the automation. For the other.
And that's a good answer and a good lead into the next thing I want to talk about, which is the VMware Code program itself, right? Which is really, people at VMware always ask me like, okay, so are you the developer program? And I'm like, no, we're code. Well, what does that mean? I'm like, well, if it's code, it's code. And if you look at VMware's products, if you're writing code to control infrastructure, right? You are automation. And it's interesting that you say an automation team, right? Because the reality is, when I try to explain what VMware Code is, I should just start saying it's a program for the automation engineers, right? That are just automating and I do that. I say, we're writing code for IT guys that are doing automation, right? It is a IT program or a IT automation program. And that's a good way to frame it. And now I can actually say there are automation teams that work in the enterprise, right? And then that program is for them. So how long have you been in VMware Code? And I know you're now a code coach. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about VMware Code? I see you have the code shirt on. So thank you for doing that. Tell us a little bit about your experience with VMware Code.
Okay, so let me say that I joined Code since the beginning. So it was the 2016, and probably the 2016 for me is a great year, because I started my first VMware in Europe, Barcelona.
Right.
I joined also the code community, and I also attended my first hackathon there. That was a completely failure, I will tell. It's.
I don't think I've ever written any code at the hackathon that actually did what I wanted it to do, but it was certainly fun to sit around and try to do it.
Yeah, sure. And I always join also the other communities, like VMware is a group. I joined also the Tech Field Day community, and then it's really a great change of my life from 0 to 10 in 1 second. And
people say that when they get exposed to VMworld for the very first time, and they get exposed to the community, the vExperts, the VMTN, VMUG, all the things that are going on, and code and the sessions. If you come, it is one of these things that changes your life.
Yeah, sure, it is. And also, from that moment, I changed completely my job. So I moved from moving from my the previous company to another company, looking for different challenges from the companies. So I think that when you find the code, when you find the community, probably the old stuff you are doing, you consider that old stuff really, really old, and then it's time to change. But let me say that I was really happy the first time I joined the code, because I really found a great place to stay. Because it's a great place to sharing the knowledge. And during the hackathon, we made our first team building, so people are coming from every part of the world, joining us in the same table. For the first time, I was a team captain. This is not a good idea. So it was not great, because at the first time ever, and also my English was not so good because I'm unfortunately I don't speak English every day. But anyway, I started with this great guys. Putting something, and then the result was not completely we don't take the first prize, obviously, but we really enjoy ourselves. This happened in the 2016. Then the next year, with for the second time was headed by Alan Renoff, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time we won the first prize. Yeah, it was really, really great because we simply bring the vcheck, which is the PowerShell, PowerCLI script for checking all the infrastructure, and then we localize this vcheck with our language because we are coming from every part of the world. Why not? Why don't make this vcheck localized for example, Italian for my tasks, or Polish, or Sweden, or German. So it was really really good. And there the captain was another code coach called Luke Deckens. So from there, I really enjoyed, and I really learned a lot in a session. It was 5 hours dense of knowledge and funny facts, and so really we really enjoyed. And then in the 2017 we won again the first prize. 20 20 sorry,
Yep.
16 or 18, I don't remember. So it was the last time we ran the hackathon in Europe, because I never been in VMworld in the United States, unfortunately. But it was the last hackathon. And then we won again the first prize with a great project running Kubernetes. So it was the year when we moving, for the first time ever, VMware said, okay, the future is Kubernetes. And then, we catch the moment to do something really, really simple, but really effective.
The European hackathons were a lot of fun too, because the external locations that we could get for our budget was like a third the price of the US. And so in the US and Vegas and others, we always end up in a conference room, and it's not that good. But in Europe, we get to get really cool, restaurants or workspace areas, that has been a lot of fun. I'm actually looking forward to this year finally again, where we'll be back in Europe to run a hackathon.
Here my goal this year is to back in VMworld Europe. I unfortunately I cannot probably I cannot come to VM Explorer, in United States, but today we call it VM Explorer, and then probably I will join the European event. And for sure, Barcelona is a great location. My opinion, it's a great place. So
have you done any power sessions or been on camera? I know that Crip and them run a lot, and we run 50 sessions on automation topics at VMworld. Have you ever given any of those?
Yes, it happens 2 times. One in 2017. Talking about the how can bring your PowerShell script in a integration with Node.js. And so I use some technologies catching around the world, and then say, okay, putting together, and if you run this PowerShell script to automate some tasks, or better, to integrate using another technologies instead of the the simply API integration. And was an experiment that I put that I shared with a great community, with a code community. And then it happens last year. I had a session with my good friend Manuel, which is a friend of mine that for the first time was nominated the Expert this year. And then we deliver some interesting content like the two phases of the automation, which is one from the developer's perspective, and the second one is from the infrastructure perspective. Obviously, the infrastructure perspective was mine, and then the developer's perspective was the topic of my friends. And I want to say here that me and my friends, we are running a Italian podcast called The Pipeline Guys, obviously. And it's a great project here in Italy to try to talking about we nominated VMware a lot of time because it's a great technologies to bring in our content. And we made this session using covering the perspective from the application stuff, using the Kubernetes, using obviously Tanzu and the Vsphere on Tanzu and Tanzu Kubernetes Grid previously. Today is Tanzu Community Edition, which is a great product in my opinion. I use it on my lab. Previously you were talking about build your own lab, and obviously I have my own lab because I can't live without it. And then the other side of the automation is the cluster management and all the cluster lifecycle, which is still a challenge for the infrastructure guy, which are involved in new tasks, which are not simply keep healthy your underlying infrastructure, but they are moving on the Kubernetes lifecycle and all the things that are running around the Kubernetes, which is a great and a difficult part of the management tasks. So the automation here is the key again to solve and try to simplify the management lifecycle.
So I should just do a shout out to you again. You have a podcast. It's called The Pipeline Guys.
Nice.
And you can go to techfieldday.com and go listen to episode 3, or you can go Google Pipeline Guys Lino, and you'll find him, and you can go listen to that. And I would say that, Lino, I'll take an action item. We have podcast.vmware.com now, and we can list affiliate podcasts. So I will see if I can get your Pipeline podcast listed on the podcast.vmware.com. Just like we have the blog stuff.vmware.com. We'll do that. And I should do a shout out. Your blog, you don't blog that much, but you definitely do have the blog out there. It's linoproject.net. Is that your
so blog.linoproject.net.
Okay.
It's not actually during the last time is not actively rating some our last post coming,
but now you get a podcast,
right?
And you're doing the podcast. So go check them out and listen to that. We should talk a little bit about Vsphere code capture. Like if you want to get started and you want to go, like I always say, never write code from scratch, right? You should always find other code to start, figure out what there's APIs, there's infrastructure, there's example codes, there's documentation. And now there's actually, I think since Vsphere 6.x, I think it is somewhere in that 6.0 or whatever, you can actually just do code capture and then use your mouse and drag things around in vCenter, right? And it'll go capture all your activity and write it as, does it write it as PowerShell, Python? I don't remember what it outputs.
I think the PowerCLI.
Yeah, PowerCLI. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And here is a great tool. You must use it. Obviously, if you don't have any code skill, you can use it like you use the macro of the Excel, for example, to doing some action, and then the output of the detection is a code, obviously, and then you can start getting into this code, modifying that, and then trying to templating it. So this is for me, I say that these are the first step if you want to deal with the code for the first time, without wasting time to documentation, how to use and whatever. So you can start really good.
So,
Yeah.
So I want to touch back with Kubernetes now. And when we talk about automation for Kubernetes,
Yeah.
right, are the challenges about the same, or are they more complicated, less complicated? What's your impression when, because most of us know how to write,
Yeah.
Power CLI to control things. Then we get into, Kubernetes, and a lot of us have played with Kubernetes, but I haven't, and I've edited YAML files and such, but I haven't got into automation. What are the challenges when you transition into trying to automate Kubernetes now?
Yeah. Let me say that Kubernetes is a really different environment from the management perspective. In the management perspective from the simply Vsphere infrastructure. Let me say that the rollout of the updates is really hard to manage, because every year you have 2 updates, and you must deal with them, with the in production workload running in production cluster. I think that it's a little bit difficult because there is no vMotion. Yeah, like it happens on a Vsphere host. And if you want to update the workload, probably you must deal with the scaling and the other techniques that are the core of the Kubernetes cluster itself. And there is also a skill gap that some people must cover. But probably here in this field, VMware is doing a really great product with tons of for Vsphere, which is an integration with the same user interface, or better, with the same entry point and the same console. You can deal with workload, and Vsphere podcast can be a transition solution for them. But during the time, and if you want to implement this Kubernetes in a multi-cloud environment, probably there are no excuse. You must deal with the Kubernetes administration, study what is Kubernetes, which is a little bit different from the operating system perspective and Linux perspective, and so.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old text game, this maybe before your time, of Adventure, where they drop you in a cave and you have to either move right or left. There's just a lot of things you have to learn, commands you have to learn to begin to navigate in your head what's going on and what's happening, and the workloads, and where they're targeted. And so there's just learning, but much like the adventure game, it's actually fun, right? Because it's like a whole new, like somebody invented a whole new shell, right? Like it's like, we all know Born in C shell, and shell is shell, and PowerShell, and it's like, but all of a sudden there's just this whole new framework with many different caves and many different turns, and it's like, it's a lot of fun. And it's also challenging, as any hard video game is, to learn it. But then you learn it, and then you understand how to move around and how to engage with it, and you start having success with it. Your workloads are running, you can manage them, you can manage clusters, and it all starts making sense, because you've just wandered around the caves long enough that you figured out where everything is, and then you're good to go. And it's for me this whole new area of fun that that we haven't had, but it does take some time.
I think that this is the right approach of our job, because we are thinking about our job as the same job every year. Probably I will change in a couple of weeks.
Right.
And then I think that here, if you want to really stay aligned with the new technologies, and so our job essentially is that you must stay aligned with new coming technologies. You must stay aligned with what,
it's fun. It is actually fun, and
absolutely
it must keep you young.
Yeah. Yeah, it must keep being young. Yeah, it's good because yeah, the right approach is have fun, never stay bad, never approach with a yeah, not a good, yeah.
As we said, the reason most of us are in these jobs is because we like this,
Yeah.
right? Because IT is a lot like dentistry, right? It can be troublesome if you don't like it, right? Because it's stressful. There's always things going wrong. But if you like it, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
I need to switch gears because I want to get to this. You do the Coder Dojo initiative where you're helping teach kids to code. So I want to give a little time to that. So tell me about that. What is that, and how does that go?
Okay, let me say that Coder Dojo is a community around the world focused on to teaching coding experience for kids. And then starting from there, there are some other programs like after we are running Coder Dojo for kids from 8 to 12 years old, and then there are the other programs that will enhance the coding knowledge for them, bringing these new guys as developers in the future. But let me say that the really great part of the show is seeing that the kids are learning by a mentor. Mentors are teachers that are simply transfer their knowledge. They must deal with the really difficult guests they ever encoded, because kids are a good benchmark for your speaking. If they understand what you are saying, yeah, it's good. You are doing
a
a
good
really
job,
great
right?
job. Yeah. And then they are dealing with the code, which is a simplified way to learn the code. Obviously, they are not really starting coding, but they are learning using use a block system. How can you do routines? How can you do, for example, loops? How can you do conditionals, and so? And they are the environment is really simplified for them, but they can express themselves. That is really important, because kids don't want only the easiest of the procedure, but they want to realize themselves, like make some drawings, enhance their jobs, their works, and they
So
want
how
to
did
have
you
fun.
get involved with this?
We started with a local dojo here in my town, me and a bunch of friends, and then I had my first guest of my life, that is my daughter. So I started teaching to my daughter, and then they are they are bringing some other kids. This happened in 2018, before the pandemic, obviously, because starting with the pandemic, we
So
stopped
you
this.
had a daughter that made you think about it. Then you got exposed to it, and you and a group of friends went there. If other people that don't have kids, but a lot of us IT practitioners, some do, some don't, if they want to engage with this, is it possible for anybody to reach out and spend time teaching people to code?
If you run on coderdojo.com, you can find your local dojo, which is really there are a lot of dojo around the world, and or you can start your local dojo if you have enough time, and then starting with a location with the internet, you can use Scratch for learning. There are also some learning materials, but there is all you need to start this dojo. This is a movement across the world. I guess it started in Ireland.
That's really cool, because I tell people this, like they're always like, oh, what are you going to do to volunteer? How are you going to give back? And at VMware, they go like, okay, let's go paint some schools somewhere, or let's go rake some leaves, or let's go clear some trails. And I'm like, I'm an intelligent guy. I want to go build some PCs or write some code or hack on stuff. Like if I want to give back, I want to give back in a technical way because that's what I like to do. And so I've been thinking about that. So that's a good one. Next time at VMware somebody brings up a let's go contribute to society and give back. I'll remember Coder Dojo. Maybe I'll look that up and see if there's a way to give back there because I got kids too. So
and the kids with following the Coder Dojo are believing in themselves. They are hiding the other kids in the same. They start with a little team building themselves, and the parents must stay there because there are three relations. One is from a mentor to the kids with the other kids, and also parents that are hiding, that are helping kids. Then we are running in a difficult difficulties, but kids that are following Coder Dojo, they are enhanced obviously they skill in school for mathematical problems.
No, it's great. They say it builds another fold in your brain, right? So if you get engaged with this stuff, you'll actually increase the size of your brain. I know we're running out of time, and I want to get to the final. Thank you for everybody for listening. If you want to go check out what Lino looks like, you can go to youtube.com/vbarbecue. VBARBECUE and go check him out. Well, he's up here. We live stream this on the YouTube channel. You can give us a like and a follow if you want. And let's talk a little barbecue. I'm going to ask Tony Foster, because he's here, if he's done any barbecue, and then we'll get to you, Lino, also and hear about Italian barbecue. But Tony, if you're out there, what do you have to tell us about barbecue?
So I haven't done any barbecue yet, but this evening I am doing barbecued meatballs.
Barbecued meatballs. There you go. Do you marinate your meatballs and then smoke them, or what's the process to make a meatball taste something better than just hamburger?
So I'm not planning on marinating my meatballs. I'm planning on actually doing them on the grill and getting some nice char and everything on them.
Right. Just a nice charred
then I'll finish them off.
Do you put them in a sauce?
And then I'll finish them off with sauce and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, you put them in sauce then, so they pick up the char.
I believe it's going to be an apricot sauce tonight.
Apricot sauce. Very nice. Very nice. Good to hear it. Good to hear it. I did some steaks the other day. So Lino, you're in Italy. What town are you from Italy?
I'm from Cremona.
Cremona.
Yeah.
In Cremona, do you get to barbecue very much out there in Cremona?
Here in Italy is let me say that especially in my, not in my town, but in all place of Italy, the barbecue is a culture here, because we are finding the right ingredients to, the right grill, the right wood to burn, to fire, and the right meat to craft and grill. So we have a lot of variety, several kind of meat we are cooking, and sometimes you will you will hear about grilled some vegetables, but let me say it's not my stuff. And I like grill because in at my house I'm the professional chief griller master. And then I like grill, make some barbecue on our at home, and then inviting our friends, and especially in this period we are starting again.
Right. And you get to do it outside, so it's a little bit safer, right? So you get that. I got one barbecue trick that I've been doing. I might have mentioned already, which is for vegetables now. Broccoli in particular, and asparagus, and any other green vegetable. You make a tinfoil boat, right? And you put all of your veggies inside, and then you put garlic butter in there. Lots of garlic butter. You seal that up and put that on the grill, and that then steams, and the garlic butter melts down through the vegetables. And let me tell you, that's just amazing to do that, because you're usually doing some kind of meat on the grill, but when you pull these off, right, and they're hot and steaming with the garlic butter melted on the vegetables, it's like it is super popular. So I'm excited for that. We are at the top of the hour. Lino, what is your Twitter handle if people want to follow you? Are you on Twitter? Why don't you do a shout out for that, and we'll finish up here.
Yeah, you can reach me at at Lino Telera, obviously, name and surname. It's really simple. Then I remember my blog, which is blog.linoproject.net. You can see me if you are Italian, you can follow us with our podcast, The Pipeline Guys. And then there are some events we are organizing, local events we are organizing in Italy with the VMAG. So stay tuned. You can reach me out there. And then finger crossed, I will join the VMware Europe. VM Explorer Europe in Europe at Barcelona. So you can reach me out there. And
excellent. So at Lino Telera. LinoTelera. Give him a follow, say hello, direct message him, tell him you heard him on the podcast. Lino, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a code.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah,
it's really
fun
good
to see you.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm going to go to my favorite barbecue place, which is the Smoking Pig down in San Jose, because it's lunchtime here in California. And I'm going to get myself some nice charred burnt ends. So that's my gig. I'm going to go do that. And we'll see you again next week.